Oh, thank you.
And today, of course, we remember vigil last night for the Humboldt Broncos. As now the attention turns, sadly, towards funerals and moving on and what to do next. Investigating the crash. There's so many still unanswered questions. So many emotions today as well. Tammy Sutherland is in Saskatoon right now, outside of Royal University Hospital, where they went into a code orange on the weekend. That means pretty well all hands on deck. Tammy, what is the mood? What is the feeling there this morning?
Oh, as you mentioned, Kevin, we're outside of the hospital here. 13 people still remain in hospital. The mood, it's very quiet, it's somber, but also the community itself is really coming together, and I think that people are at least getting solace out of that. Last night, during that vigil, I mean, it's heart-wrenching. You see the images of people hugging and trying to console each other when this is such a tragedy, something that is unimaginable and hit that town so hard in terms of losing half of that hockey team, 15 people killed, including players and personnel. And the mayor of Humboldt, he spoke at first at the vigil, and he mentioned that this is the biggest event that the city has ever seen. Thousands of people descending on the Elgar Peterson Arena. That's the home rink for the Humboldt Broncos. And it was incredibly packed. I can say that at about 6 o'clock Saskatchewan time, that's about an hour before the vigil started, the overflow room was already packed. People were lining up outside, streaming in, wanting to pay their respects in any way that they could. And, you know, there were some very emotional parts to this as well. One of the most emotional that I heard was coming from the president of the Broncos, Kevin Garrigan. And he said that he, of course, this is tough for the team, for everyone involved, but he struggled to name all of the people who died on that bus on Friday night, and that was one of the most emotional parts as each name was being read out loud. The community really trying to come together.
It's unimaginable loss. It really is, Tam. So what was the sentiment you were hearing from the community members? Because it's one of those things, we've been talking about the donations coming in from around the world. It's far exceeded their goal. But really, it's like you said, Kevin, this time, yes, money helps, but how do you begin to heal? How do you begin to even grieve? Because I think we all went through that same feeling of shock and disbelief, and now it really is sinking in.
Yeah, definitely. As the days continue on, of course, it does start to sink in, especially when it comes to now looking ahead to funeral arrangements and to the investigation, what has happened to cause this crash exactly. When we're speaking to people there last night in Humboldt, a lot of them are just so appreciative of the support that they're getting from around the country. You mentioned the donations and the money. And again, as money is not the focus of this at all, but they realize that the support that they're getting is pouring in from people who feel like money might be the only way that they can give. So right now, that GoFundMe page that started over the weekend, I mean, $4.6 million, well surpassed anyone's expectations there and their original goals. So it keeps on rising as people donate from right across the country, and as you mentioned, Dee, right around the world.
And, you know, we had Bryan Trottier on the show on Friday. Winner of many Stanley Cups years ago. He grew up and did his junior hockey in Humboldt, and coincidentally was remembering with fondness the bus trips through Saskatchewan.
That's right.
With his teammates. And people have to appreciate the geography of Saskatchewan. You know, it's not a lot of twists and turns and rolling hills and things like that. It's flat, it's wide, it's open, roadways go straight. And it's an incredible sense of community because, you know, the population base is not there. So even though Humboldt is more than 100 kilometers away from Saskatoon, they're still feeling it where you are, Tammy.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're around here in Saskatoon talking to people here, the one thing that they say, of course, number one, the tragedy of the loss of life, but also they, recognize the fact that they put their kids on a bus every day, whether it's for hockey, whether it's for school. And a lot of people just having that moment sink in when they realize it really could have been anybody. And in this tragedy right now, they're trying to at least hold on to their loved ones tighter, and they hope that that support is kind of felt 100 kilometers away out in Humboldt.
All right. Thank you very much for this. Tammy Sutherland talking to us from Saskatoon this morning in front of Royal University Hospital, where the time right now is 5:16 in the morning. 7:16 here in Toronto. Top stories. Here's Tammy.